Terraria, the game loved exclusively by depressed people. So Terraria got updated again, and this time, Relogic confirms that I am their favorite YouTuber. Don't believe me? Consider this diagram. But as stated, this update brings many blessings and nightmares. Emphasis on the nightmares, because in today's Terraria Challenge run, we head back to the playground to answer the age-old question that no one understood for some reason. So sit tight, because this is going to swing faster than an upload schedule, and hit harder than the time I killed the biggest Terraria YouTuber. No! As we ask the question, can you beat Terraria with only True Melee? So, what's True Melee? The answer is, perplexing. In simple terms, it's melee swinging and thrusting weapons that don't fire projectiles. In complicated terms, it's all of this shit. So if you'd like to read, then here it is. Have fun pausing the video. But if you're anything like this guy, that means that you don't care and just like to listen to my voice. So here's the explanation. Melee weapons only include weapons that do melee damage. Swinging and thrusting is a lot like what I did to your mom last night, but is more akin to these weapons and these weapons. Does not fire projectiles means if a weapon fires a projectile on click, then it isn't True Melee. Projectiles count as things that physically leave the weapon after the initial swing, so these are not projectiles. I prefer to call them extended effects. There's also the difference between on-hit and on-swing effects, meaning if a sword has hit an enemy to incorporate a projectile, then that is counted, because it relies on True Melee strike to deal damage. Now surely this time we won't get the same ear-piercing comments about what counts as True Melee. Now that we're over that, it's finally time to play the game, so let's begin by—
Ah! I can speak now!
What the— Who are you?
Who's talking?
I'm God.
Of which religion? Are you of the fiends that eat children?
The truth might give you an aneurysm.
I possess limbs of steel and gear. No truth would surprise me.
I make YouTube videos.
I do not know what that is, but it sounds horrific. So when am I permitted to leave?
When I say so.
Surely that will not be very long.
Yeah, surely. Let's assume that Lilith knows how to progress, and move on. First, we run around the surface getting resources and the first okay-ish weapon. This is when I realized that slimes have cat faces and my minimap order is Queen Slime Manic Pixie version. I think this is a good time to mention that I may have installed over 100 texture packs, things like Minecraft Steve Guide. So I moved on to the underground to get all of these things. Mining Cryptane in the process for our first weapon and an important accessory. The Blood Butcherer is the first good True Melee weapon. Buffed in the 1.4.4 update, the Blood Butcherer now inflicts bleed on hit, dealing more damage for every consecutive hit. Just like you when
So I can simply summon the wrath of God when I'm having trouble in a battle?
Well, yes.
Don't smite me for asking, but of what god are you in particular?
Let's just say I used to make stories.
Used to? What happened?
Elden Ring.
What ring?
Well, would you look at that? We've arrived at the jungle. Arguably the most important part of a melee build, housing such titular items like the kitchen gloves, uranium bracelet, and the best True Melee weapon that I will never get because RNG is evil. The Butcherer is actually pretty good against solo enemies, but when you consider that we are in the jungle, you see where it all goes wrong. But now it's time to continue my build, for which we need to head to the Corruption to get our first armor set, acquired from grinding. A lot of grinding. Skipping over to when we do get the armor, I immediately noticed that they removed the melee speed bonus in favor of critical strike. Although this is fine, because I am instead given breakneck speeds. Just look at me, I could almost make an upload schedule. This will be useful for some fights, considering we can't tank yet.
So what exactly is an Eye of Cthulhu?
It's a moderately sized eye, and we're only using one thing for the boss fight, which is also the most important piece. So I went back down to the underground, and after an unnecessarily long time, I finally got the boots. Alongside some gravitation potions, which let me fly up to the sky.
Ah, what the fuck is happening?
It's alright, I just reversed gravity.
Fuck, put it back!
We take a brief trip to the Sky Islands to get balloons, a lucky horseshoe, and the Star Fury for sale. Then I got a blood moon, which was pretty useless aside from a shark tooth necklace. But at least Lilith seems to be having fun. Now it's time to jump into the first boss rush, starting with the Obloid Substance Distributor. King Slime was a ripe appetizer due to its nature as a melee-oriented fight, which means that it might be a little difficult to get hit, but if you do, well, it will hurt. But I'm sure Lilith won't mind being a JoJo reference. We didn't even get the mount for that one, so let's move on to the eye that always watches.
Wait! Can you maybe ask me if I am ready?
Don't worry, this one will only hurt a little.
That is not the point.
The Eye of Cthulhu is an early example of the best parts of True Melee, because while sitting is fun, being right next to the boss is funner. This silly mouse chase really reminds me of you. tomorrow. My defense really made me feel like I had chainmail in the streets of London, and if you think this is too OP, don't worry, it gets worse. The next boss is the Eater of Worlds because of how easy it is to tank. But first, I need defense, meaning I go get reforges. So I broke some shadow orbs and went to sleep until a godly army came. And well...
Hey, God?
Yes?
What's in this for me? I mean, you have put me through pain, thrown me at the stars, made me build houses, and for what? I'm out here getting hurt for you, and what do I get for that?
You got a point. How's about you beat the game, and I'll give you anything you ask for?
Well, that is pretty good, but I do not really know what I want.
Well, you have a lot of time to think, so for now, it's time to fight the... Goblin army? Man, this new Terraria update looks crazy. I can't wait to play the Dryad 3D update. Continuing on, we go down the elevator to find the Goblin Tinkerer? Let's just forget that ever happened. Now we can get the Tinkerer's workbench to combine our accessories, then reforge them to warding. The Dryad also moved in, so I bought some planter boxes for buffs, which is half of my tanking ability. The last upgrade involves the Gay Lake, my favorite body of water, because if we drop things into this lake, they transition into their true selves. This is usually found next to the jungle, but I made a drunk world, so I thought I didn't have it. I just realized I never mentioned that we're playing in a drunk world. I just couldn't decide between the Bloods or the Crips, so I chose both. Anyways, I went to a seedless master mode world and threw in a life crystal and fruit to get increased regeneration and mining speed. Every bit of regeneration is important, and you'll see why later. So how's about
Oh my god, stop doing that.
Now it's time for the Eater of Worlds, the first sit tanking experience. Should be pretty easy. What the f is that thing? Relogic really outdid themselves this time. This fight was quite a surprise in that the Eater did even less damage than I expected. Now let's see Lilith's live reaction. We now have the Worm Scarf, and with that, the first half of the video has finished. It only gets worse from here. So let's go down to Hell, where I was born. Because with the Demonite pickaxe acquired, we can move on to better armor and the new sword that demolishes whatever lives in whose where. But before that, we have to traverse a massive lava lake in the middle of Junk Worlds, and then proceed to mine Hellstone without obsidian potions. It took a while, but man was it worth it, because the sword is pretty... Lilith, I need to... Once I had that and the armor, I finally prepared for Skeletron. In Drunk Worlds, the dungeon is set underground and is found under a brown living tree, giving you the choice of fighting Skeletron underground or making a way up to your arena. I was feeling a little less dubious today, so we're choosing the latter. Another quirk about the Junk Dungeon is that it starts below surface level, meaning you have the chance to have a dungeon chest and skeleton spawning that drop gold keys, which means that this can happen.
What the hell?
Hi Murmasa. Bye Murmasa. The Knight's Edge was initially a bad weapon until it got an upgrade and my lord. This is just like my meat grinder when someone visits my house. Who knew that the only thing True Melee needed was more range? I mean, look at this. This is probably half asleep already. Now in the dungeon, I needed all of these things for all of these uses, with the rest of the items being sacrificed to the god of stats. So after that very easy dungeon trip, there were some final preparations to make, as hard mode is now in True Melee distance.
That joke lacked the humor part.
To punish Lilith for her silly comment, I've sent her to build a bridge for the next hour, because we're in a large world playing one of the lower damage subclasses, so we'll need a pretty long bridge. Then I had to make 2 farms, one for life root because it's important for True Melee to have more health, and an AFK mob farm because we need a lot of money. This part isn't actually difficult, it's just a little lengthy.
I am so tired of this. Can we take a break?
No.
Why?
People click off if we have too much lore section.
This does not concern a book. My legs are giving out. Maybe if you got rid of that old yee-ass editing style, you'd get more comments in your inbox.
You got me there. Okay, fine, try this first. Let me take over your body and I'll build all of this stuff.
Wait, you can just do that?
I think she just fell asleep. I initially intended to talk about how to make the farms, but here's a better video on how to do that. So how about we move on to... Lilith, it's time for a regularly scheduled flattening.
What the f are you saying? That is a pretty big fiend coming my way.
It's time to fight the Wall of Flesh, and what we're about to experience isn't just a boss, it's a comparison. Because in the old days, we had to go to school through a river and use this little thing to fight the Wall of Flesh. Kids have it so easy these days. They only have to worry about the world ending. Now I think it's time to leave the Shrimple days and make things a little more complicated, because the True Melee only gets realer from here.
Whoa, That was pretty crazy.
It gets worse. Now in hard mode, the first move is to open the treasure bag and get a sorcerer's emblem, which is fine. Anyways, we need to infect our base with a hollow so that we prevent the evils from spreading in. Then I sat in the AFK farm for an hour and came back to a bunch of platinum and pretty much every accessory needed for the Ankh shield. All because of my favorite liquid, which turns select accessories into their counterparts. So I can turn a trifold map into a fast clock, armor bracing into vitamins, and dark matter into a dimensional rift used for making anomaly. Now I have most of the Ankh charms accessories and it's only been an hour into hard mode. I also got the cross necklace, which practically multiplies a lifetime. This means more invincibility frames, and you'll see what that does later. Now we have a shopping list of things that we need for the True Melee experience. And this time I think it's actually important enough to go over. Starting with the armor, we'll be using a mixed armor set because set bonuses are cringe and overrated. For us, this means that I get the titanium mask, frost chestplate, and leggings. Right now this gives us the most defense and the average damage stats, but don't worry, it'll get way better later on. Then I need a fatigued bagnax and 2 flesh knuckles, one of which will be turned into the berserker glove. All of these I can get from the Crimson Mimic, so I went up and down to grind for those. I also got a pirate army which dropped a gold ring and 2 discount cards, one of which I turned into a lucky coin so I can combine all of them into the greedy ring. Basically, less money for reforges. While grinding for the souls, I also got 2 blindfolds from the corrupted slimes, completing all of the ingredients for the Ankh shield. At this point, I was ready to power through the mech bosses, but before that I had to fight the Old One's army event. The Old One's army is actually pretty difficult if you're playing alone and without sentries, so instead I fought the pre-hard mode version using pre-hard mode gear. It's an easy alternative if you're only grinding for the medals, and I needed about 50 defender medals, while the event only gave 5, so this took some time.
So, I am told that all I am to do is to sit there to die, and I'm supposed to just believe you?
It might work.
You know what? I think at this point I am better off believing you than not.
Yes, if you move, you die.
Much like quicksand.
That's an okay comparison. So are you ready?
Wait, actually, I'm not. Can we maybe pause? Can we, Wait, really?
Yes, really. This is the True Melee experience. Just to put it into perspective, we're currently swinging a jet-powered cheering glove while getting run over by a freight train dressed as a ramstick and getting shot at by Google Pro. What does that sentence mean? This is arguably the most badass thing that we'll ever do for the next 10 minutes.
I'm fucking invincible!
That was the coolest shit ever. With the destroyer done, we receive more blessings and problems. First comes a major armor upgrade, and on the trend of anti-armor set Shattery, we get the Squire chestplate and the Squire greaves, topped off by the hollowed helmet. This all combines to have better defense, damage, crit, and melee speed spread than all of these armors. You cannot convince me to use an armor set. Next comes the new and improved Excalibur, a once useless weapon that is actually amazing now. I also made the gun gear, but it wasn't very impactful. Then I left my life fruit farm to gather health for a while.
The feeling of forgetting something is a very peculiar thing.
Something you remember?
I'm starting to remember what happened before I got here, I mean.
Can I hear it?
Well, I was born a princess, lost my arms, grew up a rebel, met a very important person, got involved in a massive conflict, and now I'm here.
Would you like to go back?
I no longer dislike you, but I would say I'd rather be there than here.
I'll find a way. But now it's time to snap back into reality and fight Skeletron Prime. Set tanking isn't exactly an option for this fight, so we're going to introduce tanking on wheels, just like the British on September 15th, 1916. Skeletron Prime is a hypothetical problem, because I thought it was difficult, but just look at this fight. The primary danger is that I might make the same joke from 10 minutes ago, but I think Lilith is already awake this time.
Not good.
The fight was actually so easy that we decided to fight the twins on the same night. That was a mistake. At this point, I was kinda stuck and I didn't know what to do. Man, if only I could... I'm dead serious. Who knew that the answer to my problems was me all along? To combat Spasmatism's damage, all we need was one wall and illegal amounts of healing. Seriously, I do enough damage when Spasmatism dashes in and enough healing for when it politely backs off. Retinazer was concerning until I realized that relogic is good and real because the gun gear was perfectly suited for this part. It's almost like they watched my Hi, I'm Playirime, and in today's Terraria Challenge run, we'll be simulating you on October 7th, 2023, 8:17 PM. Now that we have access to, we'll be making the mechanical and molten glove for later plans. Then I mined some chlorophyte to make the true Excalibur. It has the same damage, but if you're playing True Melee, that extra range does matter. Then I went down to the dungeon to make a nice big grinding space for post-Plantera. Now you're probably thinking, where's all the preparation with quirky editing? Well, that's it. This is actually so easy that I don't even have to make an arena. Speaking of, well, there she is. Watch out, guys, and it's gone. The True Melee experience, everyone.
Wait, that's it?
Yep, but it gets worse.
Let's go!
Now let's move on to the most unhinged part of the video, starting with our final preparations. That means it's time for grinding, and I mean a lot of everything. Because in the dungeon, I need all of these things, 3 of which are rare drops from a rare enemy. I really enjoyed this part, so much so that I reverted back to a subtitle YouTuber. Now we have the Master Ninja gear for maximum dash range, because movement is not a choice, it's a requirement. Then I got the key brand, which does extra trolling when an enemy has low health. And of course, 3 paladin shields, 2 of which will turn into the frozen shield and the hero shield. I was already at the stage of the game where face tanking was kind of falling off, so I had to lean into a DPS build with defense. Here's the build, and as you can see, I'd have more defense and vital armor while having really high stats. But I had to get the armor first, which involved more Old One's army, and then scaling this massive jungle temple, which turned out to be harder than fighting the boss. With good armor unlocked, we only needed some accessories and weapons, starting with the Moonstone, which I got almost immediately after activating a Solar Eclipse. Now we just needed the Horseman's Blade and the Psycho Knight.
Something tells me this is going to be painful.
Yes, it was painful. From the moment that I saw the Pumpkin Moon was buffed, I knew that Real Logic did not think this through. So how did they go about balancing this change? They didn't. We spent most of the time either dead or dying. And when I did get to the pumpkin, it would have already been day, or we would have already been dead. This took many days. Pumpkin Moon in the evening and Solar Eclipse in the morning. It was a long and hopeless stalemate until...
Yeah! Yeah!
Oh my god, guys, it's Chainsaw Guy. But seriously, I thought that the Psycho Knife was mandatory, but who needs to cut and cook when you can rip and tear? I used this weapon on the Pumpkin Moon, and it was so effective that the truth meleeed itself.
That was a really tough time. Surely now we can take a little break, right?
There's something I have to break to you, Lilith.
What?
There are other gods too.
Was that supposed to be surprising?
Kind of.
Well, whatever god there may be, we are of god and flesh, so you can expect a little more confidence from me. I trust you.
Alright, well, let's continue forward. Just place this butterfly down and...
Human.
What the fuck?
Your god is false.
What?
Don't mind her. Just break the butterfly.
Wait, no, don't do that.
Wait a second, just...
Lilith, trust me. Break the butterfly.
Okay, but hold on. There are 2 voices in my head right now. My mind is going to break.
Whoa, there are 2 wolves inside you.
Okay, look, if you break the butterfly, it'll show its true form, and it'll stop talking through your head.
Ah! Fuck you, butterfly!
I think it's about time I beat the Terraria out of that YouTuber once again.
Is there something going on between you 2?
Hey guys, Playirime here. In today's Elden Ring Challenge run, we're currently playing Epilepsy Simulator, ranging only from insane to more insane. The Rivers of Light is not actually a very difficult fight, if you're using ranged weapons. But in True Melee, that is not the case.
God, I am starting to feel a little queasy.
Pull your tongue back a bit and bite it slightly. Now dodge.
Wait, what the you know how to beat this guy?
As I told you, human, your god is false. He lied.
This fight is actually very easy but difficult. Easy in that you have to stay close, but difficult in that you have to stay close. It only gets moderately complicated in titular moves such as Rainbow Road, Rainbow Dash, and that one move that makes me feel like I'm in the cast of Oppenheimer when Christopher Nolan says he won't use CGI.
Oh, my eyes are burning!
Look, Lilith, you're right. We are god and human. I didn't think we'd have to do this, but we can both be in control of your body at the same time.
Why didn't you say that sooner?
That's kind of gay if you think about it.
So how, you may wonder? How do you throw hands with a highly energetic, homophobic proton without the range needed to live? Well, the answer is a little silly, for I practice by almost beating Daylight Empress with a true melee weapon. And that's why I need you, Lilith. I can't just pull this off on my own.
This is it. Today is the day I finally crank you 190 in Fortnite dance on your dead subscriber account.
I will help you, whatever it may be. We are of god and flesh, right?
Hey, Playirime. Guess where this bolt goes?
What?
It goes in the square hole! You cannot beat me, Play.
That's where you're wrong.
What?
Maybe not back then, but now, for the last time, our pronouns are they/them. Not because we are non-binary, but because we are literally 2 people.
I will return. Better watch your jet.
Yeah, we can take a break now. Lilith? Lilith?
Hey, God? I think I have figured out what I want.
So what is it?
Before I was sent here, I remember I was involved in a massive conflict. In the midst of a crippling move by the enemy, a friend gave her life to keep our front line safe. Although I think we lost shortly after that. Actually, I believe I've died. I don't wish to justify her efforts or return to change the outcome. I just wish to talk to her once more. She was like a mother to me, something I've not had much in my life. God?
Oh, sorry. I don't know how to deal with emotional situations.
I'm being serious here.
Yeah, I can probably do that. So, one last time. Are you ready?
More than ever.
Caos de mierda, escuchen mi voz. En esta danza airada les mostraré mi enojo atroz.
Good morning, sadists, and welcome to the hardest fight in this video, if we didn't go for Empress first. That bitch makes anything easy. This fight also serves as a comparison, because in the past, this fight lasted long enough to make an entire episode. That's mostly because I wasn't even tuned into the True Melee experience, but this time, we're taking defense, damage, and healing to their most balanced. And at this point, I'm more concerned that I gave the voice actor too much freedom.
Voy a sacarte la chucha.
Is that God language?
Nope, that's just Brazilian.
Dejemos esto de lado que me tengo que ir.
I think he's angry.
We should probably avoid that.
But ignoring all that nerd shit, this video will stand as an achievement for our channel. From then to now, your ongoing support and love for this channel continues to fuel it, and I hope to bring videos like this to you again. I really appreciate all the support that you give, and thank you for watching.
Mira la weoncita, cree que puede sacármela.
That's it? Quite easy.
Look, Lilith, I'm about to crossfade a blank white image to signal the transition into the next scene, so don't freak out.
Wait, that is moderately scary. I'll be fine though, right? Thank you, I suppose.
No, thank you. Rest assured you'll end up right where you need to be. Goodbye, Lilith.
Bye.